We have some breaking news on the Stock Act, which would be the bill to limit the extent to which political actors, congressmen, judges, etc., can play the stock game. There are details of what the bill would look like available by Punchbowl News, but I think the headline here is it's unlikely that it would ever even come to a vote because, according to this news report, a number of rank-and-file Democrats are, quote, actively opposed, according to the source. And then, of course, the Republicans are regrettably almost universally opposed as well.
Yeah.
So, well, what do you know it? Political figures, who says bipartisanship is dead, happy to come together to thwart efforts to prevent them from profiting off the knowledge they have.
Yeah, like this is perhaps a little unsurprising given that, Nancy Pelosi had that famous moment when she was asked about this last year and she said, no, Congress members shouldn't be banned from owning individual stocks because we are, quote, a free market economy. She's obviously someone with enormous wealth who has been accused, her husband has been accused of making stock trades based on insider information that she is obviously privy to as the highest ranking Democrat in the House. And it is extraordinary that they can publicly crow about how the Democratic Party is against corruption and we're going to pass this act. We have control of the House and the Senate and the White House, and we're going to pass an act that prevents Congress members from trading on insider information, and then not even be able to marshal the votes to pass it after kind of finally making the admission that this is a real problem.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
But we never really believed them that they were actually going to do this, that they cared. Hilariously, I'm sure if you polled the average American, this would poll so well. You would get like virtually all Democrats, Republicans, independents, conservatives, liberal, the left, everyone would say, centrists, everyone is going to say, unless you're maybe a stockbroker or something, everyone's going to say this is an easy thing to take this power away.
Yeah.
So the bill, if it did get voted on, it's not going to, but it would be pretty expansive. It would apply to members of Congress, their spouses, also their children, senior aides, federal judges, including the Supreme Court, and senior executive branch officials. That was what the bill was purporting to do.
Which, by the way, everyone else has to do. If you work for a bank, if you work for a law firm, if you are privy to this kind of information, you are already precluded from doing exactly this. Truly, in the world of kind of broad corporate government access, Congress is the standout actor who doesn't have to play by the same kind of rules as we completely understand need to be in place so that, the president of JP Morgan or whatever that's marshaling some merger doesn't make out like a king from the very merger that he is planning. They're privy to this similar kind of information.
So a senator doesn't walk out of a meeting about what's going to happen with COVID before COVID is big news, and immediately go and sell off stocks or buy stocks in Pfizer, or whatever, which is exactly what happened. A senator did do that.
So this was Senator Burr in early 2020. Unsealed FBI docs revealed a flurry of calls and stock trades by him right before the coronavirus. We were all notified broadly of the scale and scope of the COVID virus.
Before you tell your constituents of the crisis, of the deadly disease that is about to tear across this country, killing hundreds of thousands of people, your first call is
to your broker
to get your stocks in order.
Yeah, it's really unconscionable. I'd love to see how Democrats defend this. I hope this is a story that circulates more broadly, because this is a moment for the actual progressives in Congress to shine, and the principled conservatives, by the way, that are genuine populists to shine and call out corrupt leadership that is more invested in their stock portfolio than decoupling themselves from having their personal interests interfere with the interests of the American people, because that's really the problem here. On one level, yes, we don't want people enriching themselves based on insider information, but the more central problem here is the risk that because one policy or another, one law or another may personally benefit various elected officials, that they are going to start making decisions in their own personal interest as opposed to the interest of the people who elected them.
Yeah, this would be an even bigger problem if Congress was doing more of its job of legislating, but the legislative function of Congress has been so passed off to agencies and the executive, although they also have some senior officials would also be covered by this. I mean, judges would be covered by this. They're the ones doing all the lawmaking these days.
Yeah, as they should be. Not that they should be doing the lawmaking, but they should be covered by this.
Right. Imagine if Congress was actually the one responsible for imagine the pharmaceutical industry's input on public policy. If Congress, rather than just the president, was actually the one responsible for vaccine mandates or something, you could see how a congressperson who has stock in Pfizer might vote differently on that or against the wishes of constituents or something like that.
And that's a really good point. Someone raised this to me on my call-in show last night, how the fact of even if there isn't particular corruption in a given instance, the possibility of corruption, the fact that we all know that it exists, the fact that we know how much lobbying happens with respect to the pharmaceutical industry has really contributed to the climate of mistrust around things like vaccines and policies in the CDC. So some of it is their actual bad behavior. And some of it is the imprimatur of corruption that comes with having systems that are so easily infiltrated. And that ambiguity, I feel that, is the Biden administration really advising a booster campaign over, once a year for the rest of your life because that's what's medically indicated? Is it because that's something that is advantageous for pharmaceutical companies? Both can be true. It can be the right thing to do and profitable for a pharmaceutical company. But when we have a country where that profit and that corruption is underlying every single thing, it makes people, I think, rightly skeptical of what they can and cannot trust. Absolutely. Which, of course, I'm going to flip into an argument for Medicare for all and getting the profit motive completely out of our healthcare, but can be, understood as a problem even if that's not your political bag.
Well, I think we're going to talk about boosters and COVID next, so we'll take a brief pause and we'll come back with more Rising in just a minute.